What you're about to watch is a compilation of films, audio tapes, and photographs that were left to us by Honey and Gramps and Mom and Dad, Grandpa and Gigi. So a few weeks ago, Debbie and I were watching the Christmas Vacation, and when I saw Chevy Chase up in that attic, I just started thinking about our films and what we had. So I started looking for the films, and no one seemed to know where they were, but I knew that I had the audio tapes, so I dug them out, and of course had no reel-to-reel player. So I went to find one. I thought they'd be fairly cheap, and I found one in Auburn the same day and brought it home and started to try to see the tapes to see if they would work. And lo and behold, they do. And there are lots of tapes, lots. They take about an hour and a half per tape, and most of them are beyond boring. I don't know what to say other than that. So let's begin. We'll see what happens here, and
I never thought about looking at the watch for time. Wait, I'll check on the time for you. 9:15 here, and I will say that Darlene is asleep. So if you wanted to keep the easiest child, you would take Darlene because she'd be no sweat. If you wanted to keep the hardest one, you'd probably take Douglas, as well, you know. But Darlene's asleep, and the three boys are awake. And now Pater came over today. Get into bed now, Dougie, and do it now. I wish you could see Dougie. He's got a... What? You go get into bed and you won't be getting hit. Now go on. He's got these pajamas on that were Marshall's about 3 years ago, and Janowski's sticking out. I might as well know how to have the hole. He's standing there telling me. And you might
what do you got there, honey?
For all the good they're doing.
All right, put the coffee down there. That'll taste good. Marshall's but you're not drinking any, are you? Well, I don't think it's good for you to be drinking coffee. Grandpa wouldn't want you to be drinking coffee. You're just going to quit growing one of these days, and then you won't be able to play ball or anything because you'll be so little. And he's made me a cup of coffee and himself a cup of coffee. But when he gets home, that'll be nice. He'll bring you coffee into bed, honey, and he's really a big help now, that Marshall. Where's Michael? What's he doing? Oh, he's reading something as usual. And he did not practice the piano tonight. Unless I take Michael bodily by the nape of the neck and bring him in, and I get very provoked with him because I don't think I should have to... He made a bargain with me, and he doesn't stick to his bargain at all. He told me if I let him practice if I let him play for an hour, marbles, that he'd come in and practice. Now, today is Wednesday, and in 2 days he hasn't practiced 1 minute on that piano. So, boy, tomorrow he's had the schnitzel.
Nice, darling. Boy, you're a lucky girl.
Of course.
Yeah, we can open that.
This is to Honey from Mike.
Oh, I'm not.
What are you trying to do, Matt? Give me a bone like a dog? Feels more like a bone. Well, I'm waiting to somebody else.
Honey.
And you guys forgot to wrap up the... That's Mrs. Matthews. You forgot to wrap Honey Green.
Those are them.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. I'll show you.
This is some that I wrapped. Hers aren't. We didn't wrap them. You know where they are, Michael? In the confusion. Bubble bath. What do you got there, Maddie? Where was it in the pool? Oh, that's a Flintstone. Is it a Flintstone? Here's another one. Oh, and they're both for me.
Who's that from, man?
Now they can't
Wraps
both
these for you.
They are. Birthday, honey.
Well, that kind of...
Oh, you're my best boy in the world.
I bet you one of these must be Dougie's. Or mine. They're both bubble bath.
All right, Frank, start blowing.
I'm blowing.
Start blowing up the flint, man.
Get this one open?
No?
Oh, you have to blow those damn things up?
Well, yes. I'll blow one up.
Start blowing.
No.
Let him blow one up.
Okay. Here's another pen. Some more
You may have to take it to a gas station, Frank.
Just like
It
my
doesn't need gas, does it?
Look at me. Look at me.
Okay, I'll open the
Is
tie.
everybody looking at my new sweater?
Yes, ma'am. I'll open the tie
Oh,
because this
you
might be the
saw
last time I see it.
Oh, this one. Isn't this pretty?
Well, isn't that
Mama.
pretty? Goodness gracious me alive.
What's this?
That's a beauty.
Who blew it up?
Check that out.
Are you blowing it up,
Put
Dougie?
that down.
Mommy, here's one for now. I got some more stuff. That's Maddie's raffle tie.
Oh, this is from Santa Claus.
And Mike, go make another
What's
one.
this?
We got.
Rubble tie? Mommy didn't pick this one up.
Oh.
Oh, aren't those
This one's
pretty?
Yeah.
Those are really
Any more for me?
What is it, Darlene?
We got a pair in there for you, and we forgot to
That's
wrap
the
them.
link on it. Mike, go get the earrings in there. You forgot, Dougie, where the earrings.
Half the stuff isn't getting out yet.
Blow that up, Doug, can you? These you blow them up.
I'll give you these green ones. And I'll put the others. Here, this is
Those are 41, honey.
Aren't they
What?
pretty?
Plain or what? May I open up mine?
Yeah, I came on here. Throw it in your
Oh, another pair, huh?
That's all I got.
Some more underpants, Mama. Mama, more underpants.
These?
Mommy.
Aren't they? These are beautiful, Dougie. Those are pretty, aren't they? Yeah, they are pretty.
A wallet, 2 ties.
Aren't they cute, huh?
Oh, here's mine, a scrapbook,
They
socks, roll on,
did pretty well,
pants,
didn't
this, and a shirt.
they? Well, I might start to open
Why
some.
get mine,
Right, says everybody's open.
How many times you get mine?
Oh,
Roll on,
aren't
2.
those cute? Those are from Ramsey, darling.
2 ties.
Thank you, Mike.
Who's this? This is Magnus. Well,
Yeah.
Okay. Go in there and get the green earrings that we got for money that we forgot. Here's what goes to
You know where the green earrings are that were from Doug?
Mommy?
In there, you'll.
Can I open this?
$1.25 each.
Yeah. I think they're beautiful.
What's the price on it?
You spend so much money, Mom. Got it on. Beautiful.
Who's are these? Who call it? Who's 16 some things are they? Oh.
$2.50.
We got it for $1.23 at them streets. It's nice.
Well, I got 2 things
What's
there.
that? I mean, you didn't charge it. I think she forgot to charge it.
Oh, fill up
Oh,
that.
sometimes they do. This is yours from Maddie. He bought that with his money.
Oh, Mama, look what's some fun. There's the candy.
Look what Dawn sent her.
Some Nachman.
Oh, how
Nachman from Nachman. I knew you could plan is
That's precious.
Have a new cup of coffee. And I really had to laugh when the Gordons were here. The Pyres came and they didn't stay long, but she said, oh, when Frank and I get married, she says, the only one we're going to have of the kids is Matthew. And Luke Gordon looked at her and said, are you still on that or something like that? It was really kind of funny. Oh, I don't care. I could care less. She wouldn't have Frank in a gold platter. She wouldn't have him if... She isn't that stupid. She isn't going to trade a colonel for a captain. But she just likes the men to be falling all over her. That's just the type she is. She doesn't really like him or wouldn't have him, but she likes to play up to all of them, you know. But, oh, well, I must tell you about my latest purchase, and then I'm all through buying. But
In 1956, Dad was transferred to Germany for 3 years. So we packed everybody up in the 56 Buick Special that we had and drove to Roanoke, Virginia. Dad continued on a week or so later to Germany, and we stayed for a couple of months before catching a ship from New York. Our first assignment was in Dexheim, and we were there for about 9 months before we were transferred to Höchst. We stayed there a year, and then we were finally in Munich, where we stayed until June of 1959.
Then they also have the 220 SE. Now this particular car costs $500 more than the plain 220S, but it has what they call an intake fuel. Now I don't understand it, but it's Jack Reams across the hall is supposed to know a lot about cars, and he says that's a better car. Supposed to increase the efficiency and I don't know what all, and you get 25 miles to the gallon on the Mercedes. Frank gets about 12 on this Buick. And they have the most beautiful blue, a real, see the colors in the German cars are not as gaudy as our cars. I'm talking, be still now. But they have this lovely blue, and of course, I'm talking to the guy like he's going to call right to the factory and get me one. And I said, well, I like that blue car there. And he said, well, I couldn't get you that because that's a special paint job. And I said, well, I don't mind if it's special or not. I'll take it anyway. But it's a lovely blue. It's just a beautiful, kind of a metallic blue. It's a light blue, a pretty blue, but it's kind of got that shiny stuff in it. You know what I mean? Kind of like a metallic light blue. Real, real pretty. But he told us that we could have one of the Mercedes off the floor. Now this is the deal. The Mercedes on the floor are not export models. I've learned a lot about Mercedes in the last day. And I'd love to have one myself, except that it's not big enough for us. And Frank said, well, if you didn't want it, we could always take it home and sell it. It would be, we could undoubtedly make money taking a Mercedes home and reselling it. But he said, boy, if Ralph ever saw this car, he'd be sold on it. He wouldn't want to sell it, you know, it's just beautiful.
Hello, honey, this is Darlene. Hello, honey, Gramps. This is Darlene, and today's February the 26th. And Mommy got the package for my birthday present. And the suit I wore to Sunday school, it fits very well. And today I wore my dress, and when Aunt Carmela came, I wore my jumper. And my gloves I wore yesterday at Sunday school, and they all fit, and they're real pretty. And thank you very much. And in spelling, well, a couple of weeks ago, every 2 weeks, my teacher takes up our spelling books. And when she took mine up, the first time I got a plus, and the second time I got a plus, and the plus is the best you can get. And in my spelling test, well, I've had all A's and 1 B minus on my spelling, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to get an A on spelling this time, and I'm doing pretty well in my other things. Mike's doing better in his work, and Dougie's doing good. And Michael, today, well, his class and gym, they didn't do any work, but they watched the World Series, and the film popped, and Mike found a piece of it on the floor, and so he picked it up and brought it home, and it's a picture. It's a picture, and it's a picture on the end of a movie film. It's the end of a movie film, and it's a picture. And we'll send it to Mark if he wants, and it's at number 23. And Doug's looking at it now. It's a real pretty day out here. Oh, honey and Gramps, I love the dresses you got, and thank you very much. And they're real pretty on me, Mommy says. And I love it very much. Bye-bye. Well, honey, I just come back to say you and Gramps are the best honey and Gramps in the whole wide world. And Mama says I'm going to come back to California. Bye-bye.
Well, when Ralph and I went over to Presidio yesterday, we went down, we took the San Mateo Bridge, and we come up by Candlestick Park going to hunt for Mike's glove. Well, we didn't find it, I'll tell you that. Mike had the glove. I said, Michael, I said last night, why don't you take the glove when you're just going to start walking? You know, just hook it right onto your belt. But they're so elegant, they won't do that. Now, Mike lost his glove last year, you know. Frank bought him a glove last year, and he lost it. And Mike said last night, oh, well, that wasn't a very good one. Daddy only paid $8 or something. Well, Ralph says it's pretty hard to get $8. Well, Ralph said to me yesterday, well, he says, you know, Ida, and I know that Mike is going to get a new glove. He said, we're going to get him a new glove, but he doesn't want, he wants to let him sweat it out a little bit first, you know. I said, you know, Michael, I said, you've really never worked out the other glove. The idea was he was supposed to do work out there. He said, oh, yeah, he thought he only had, he just about worked that glove out. I said, well, what are you charging me out there in the yard? Well, he's charging me 75 cents an hour when he goes out in the yard. Well, Ralph said, Mike, if you produce, you're worth 75 cents, but when you go out there and you start chasing a butterfly, Mark says, they can be playing ball, and if he sees a butterfly go, and he drops the things and runs after the butterfly. Now, and then Mike will find a little one of these little snakes, or he'll find something, and Mike doesn't get anything done. He goes out in the yard, but he gets nothing done. And he thinks he's charging me up at 75 cents an hour. And I said, well, you're not getting 75 cents an hour anymore. You're only going to get 50 cents. And he looked at me, and he was quite shocked to think that I would only pay him 50 cents an hour for working in the yard. Well, he doesn't do it. Michael just gets simply lost in a fog when he gets out around with the trees and the garden stuff. And, well, it's a good thing. I mean, I'm not complaining. But, I mean, after all, he thinks I should pay him 75 cents an hour without a doubt. He's worth it. Well, he doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
If you get a gardener out there, you pay them $10 a week, keep your yard up, and you have no worry or sweat, and they just come in and keep it up.
Now, here's a peanut butter.
But when Mike wants to charge me 75 cents an hour in the yard, it's just one of the saddest looking things you've ever seen in your life, Virginia, I'll tell you that.
What? Somebody where? All right, I'll play your record. I've still got to go down to that wash, the rest of that wash, and I just hate to. Well, I could tell you what time it is. It's evening here, and it's late. But since Helga is gone and I'm doing my own work, I can't wear my $100 watch and immerse it in water. And it's amazing how I miss it now. When I didn't have a watch, it never occurred to me. But I was just going to look at my wrist and tell you what time it was. And I caught myself getting the bands wet, you know. And so I decided, well, as long as I'm doing my own work and I have my hands doing the dishes and all, I'll just take the watch off. I can't wear it, but I miss it terribly. And when I didn't wear a watch, I never thought about looking at a watch for a time. Wait, I'll check on the time for you. 9:50.
If you haven't guessed by now, that's Mark. He was in a group of three when he first moved back to Georgia. I think it's Sam Matthews and his girlfriend named Cheryl. And I don't know who was playing the piano. I like to think it was Mark, but I don't believe it really was. In any case, quite a talented guy, as you can hear.
Loving. Bring it on home to me. If I ever lose your love, you can find me up above. Bring it to me, baby. Your sweet loving, bring it on home to me. First verse, one more time. Here you go. Yeah. Broadway. I don't mean Santa Cruz. Gone down the drain. Oh, not Santa Cruz. I tried to tell her no, but the first thing I know, she was riding on a train. Oh, she jumped on that train, my lord.
We're gone, so Darlene was just coming home from school. Well, today was her brownie day. Well, instead of going to brownies, she went over with Moody. So she came back, then the boys got home from school, and we had come home, and Frank had gone back to work, and Pater came up. They just kind of like to come up and talk, you know, and it's kind of awkward in a way. But I gave Pater a beer, and Darlene came up, and she said, "Oh, Pater, your Moody was just here." And so Darlene and Pater got Schnell in the car, and they went down and caught Moody, and she came back. And, oh, she loved Maddie, you know, and he's been crying to go get Moody. He thought Pater was going to take him to see Moody when we went out today anyway. And Pater was all for taking him home, and I said, "Oh, no, Pater, you know, I didn't want to just dump him on Moody." I said, "No, just let it go." I said, "He can go some other day." So then Pater and Darlene went to get Moody, and I said, "Now you sneak off, and he won't even know it." So the sheep, see, we have, you know how they have sheep all over Germany. Well, right across the field here, they used to have a lot of sheep, and all the little sheep, they're real cute. So he wanted Moody to go see the sheep with him, see? So we went all across the street, and then they snuck into the car, see? Well, they hadn't been gone. They hadn't even gone down the street 1 block, and they turned around and came back. And Moody, she's awful cute. Yeah, I want to get some pictures of her. She's a wonderful person. And by that time, I was bringing Maddie back up the stairs, and he says he didn't want Moody to go. She must be awful good to him because he really does like her. And she came up, and boy, she grabbed him right out of my arms, and she said, no, she'd taken him. She couldn't stand to go off and leave him. So she came back and got him, and I said, "Don't you want his clothes?" Because she was late, see. It was getting late by then, and Uli didn't have a key to get in, and boy, she has to be home and have Fadi's dinner ready. She says, "Oh, no, I'll find something for him." And boy, she was so, and I'll tell you, they were like 2 little kids. Maddie, he was laughing, Moody, she was just laughing. She was in her glory with him in her arms. And boy, he was delighted to be, he was happy to be going in that car, I'll tell you. The 2 of them were grinning from ear to ear, and off they went. And she says, "Oh, Motsnick, see, Uli's coming at 9 in the morning." So she says Uli will bring Maddie back with her. Well, they were like, really, they were cute. Maddie was grinning, and she was grinning, and they were just waving goodbye. And she does love him, and he likes her too, you know. Really, they were cute. And it is a help then when he left. See, it's an awful problem for me to get the wash done with Matthew, because this morning he was just terrible. And he didn't want to stay in the cellar, and he'd keep grabbing that key out of my pocket, and you know he's a Sharpie. I'd lock that cellar door, and then he'd get that key out of my pocket and open it, and he'd be up at the stairs. And, you know, if he'd come up and he were quiet and he'd go in the house, but he climbs the banisters and things, and he's an awful worry to me. So the minute she took Maddie off, I went down and I finished the wash. It took me a good hour or more to finish the wash, and then I came up. And then you have no idea how quiet and blissful it's been around this house tonight with Matthew gone. It makes all the difference in the world. And, of course, they enjoy him, so I figure, well, he was happy, and off they took.
Well, the lost is found. Maybe if I hadn't had my beers, I wouldn't have lost my notes. But as I told you, Frank is OD, and at least if I have a couple of beers, I do sleep better. Now, I haven't been sleeping well at all lately. I wake up, so often, 3 or 4 times during the night. In fact, one night I just couldn't sleep at all. I just woke up and couldn't go back to sleep, and I was pooped the next day. I haven't been sleeping too well. And if I have a couple of beers, then I will. At least I can go to bed, and I usually sleep well. Because I'm not groggy, really, but I mean, I'm more tired than I would be, and it relaxes me a little bit, and I can go to sleep. And then, I have so much to tell you, but...
Now, Frank was darn lucky to find a 1939D. That's the one that the woman had 2 of them. One was $2 and one was 2 1/4. And for the kids' birthdays, I bought them both. But she let me have them both for $2. Well, when I bought $8 or $10 worth of stuff, naturally. But I've been looking for a 1939D, and I can't find one for nothing. I found a 1939S yesterday, in the nickels I'm talking about, and that's worth 35 cents. But we all got a 1939S, and I don't know if Ralph has a 1939D or not. See, I don't know. But I know that I have no extras in them. I need some more. As I say, I have 2 books going, I think. And the boys each have 1 book, and I want to start the boys' 2nd book. So the boys each need another one for their new book they're going to start. And Ralph has 2 books, and he needs some. So tell Frank to never let I save all the 1939s, even the planes. I don't get many planes. I have about 6 planes. 1939 planes. So I have some extras on those. But the 1939Ds and the 1939Ss don't come easy. Occasionally you'll hit an S, but I've never hit a 1939D. I've never found one. And
Mama, black sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir, 3 bags full. 1 for my master, 1 for my dame, and 1 for the naughty boy that cries in the lane. Baba, black sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir, 3 bags full. 1 for my master, 1 for my dame, 1 for the naughty boy that cries in the lane.
Today is Wednesday, and in 2 days he hasn't practiced 1 minute on that piano. So, boy, tomorrow he's had the schnitzel, and he's going to make up both of these hours before the week is out. I don't care how much he bellows or hollers or carries on. I'm going to make him make up every minute he's missed. If he has to sit at that piano all day Saturday and Sunday, I'm not fooling with my 6 o'clock tonight. And I was tired because I worked hard today, and the house looks like a cyclone has struck it. I have decided that you're right. I'm going to get rid of everything. I'm going to have just what it takes to put on my back the few new things I've worn and the few dresses that you bought when I was here, or when you were here, that we bought in the PX, which were very inexpensive dresses, and a few other things that I have bought, and that's all I'm taking home, and the kids' brand new clothes, and that's it. Nothing else goes home. Because the more you get, the harder it is to keep your place clean. I'll tell you, I've got crap and corruption. I can look around the floor, and I've got an old corduroy shirt of Mike's that's completely gone, and I'm just too damn scotched to throw it out, and an old bandana I've been going to get rid of for days. This is stuff on my bedroom floor. A box full of old hats that aren't worth anything, probably cost $500 a piece, if you know what I mean, and an old hat of Darlene's, and really nothing that amounts to anything. And if I just would give up the ghost and throw them out, but it's the hardest thing. I guess I'm a lot like Grandma feels. It's awful hard for me to part with my beautiful possessions, and yet I have given Uli a situation like that. I mean, so when you talk about we all have our problems, indeed we do. And I was going to say that I would never refinish this piano. It has a lovely finish on it. And when they moved it here, the teacher gave Michael his first lesson. She said no, it didn't require any tuning now. It's in perfect tuning now. Of course,
You know, the Germans, if they could stick me with the tuning, they intended to do it. But as it turned out, I got it for 100 marks cheaper, and it didn't need to be tuned after all. But you're right. By the time the thing is moved to the States, it will need to be retuned again. And then I was looking at Dougie tonight. He was doing his homework. He's better to do his homework now. And he got his arithmetic book out, and he was working. And he's the only one of the kids with hands like me. And he has the prettiest, longest fingers. The rest of the kids all have those short. Darlene has the worst hands of all. She's got the stubbiest hands of all. Not that that'll keep her from getting a husband, I guess. But Dougie has the nicest, longest, prettiest fingers, and he's so thin all over, poor little fella.
I don't know. I shouldn't get, but I get very irritated. I know I shouldn't. I should just say, well, I don't care, but I just can't say that. And I was reading a little bit in Magic of Believing. 3 lines, believe me, I don't read anymore. But it said that you should really, bless people and say a prayer for those, even those that you feel have wronged you. Really? I don't know. Maybe it's me that I just couldn't think of doing it. I just thought, why should I? Why should I sit here and say prayers for Amber and Mark and Bob and Gladys? They're all the big shots, and they're all down there, and Markley and Gail and all. Why should I sit and say prayers for them? My God, they don't need any prayers. God knows they don't.
And then I was looking at Dougie tonight. He was doing his homework. He's better to do his homework now. He got his arithmetic book out, and he was working. And he's the only one of the kids with hands like me. And he has the prettiest, longest fingers. The rest of the kids all have those short. Darlene has the worst hands of all. She's got the stubbiest.
Well, we've come
hands
to
of
the
all.
end of
Not
this
that
exercise in
getting a husband, I
filmmaking,
guess,
which
but
I hope you've
Dougie has
enjoyed.
the nicest, longest,
I welcome you to
prettiest
come to
fingers,
our
and he's
house
so
anytime
thin
in
all
the
over,
future.
poor little fella.
We can sit down, pull out tapes and a projector, and have a great deal of fun. So, Merry Christmas to all. I hope to see you soon. Bye.